Quentin Johnston is not ready to play in the NFL.
You take a look at this guy's route tree, man. It's red on every route except the lowly screen. Have you ever seen a player like that score so poorly and then bounce back?
Well,
look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
May be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
So let's talk about some better. What about
let's have the Quentin Johnston conversation.
You take a look at this guy's route tree, man. It's red on every route except the lowly screen. And again, red means below average, below the league average in terms of success rate on those routes, which means he has a success rate that is not very good. And again, I know his name is certainly hot right now because of that horrendous drop he had at the end of the game here in week number 11, where he catches that. And most likely the Chargers are in field goal range, but given the Chargers, who knows if they even kick that field goal or hit that field goal, right? But by the way, I would also contend that if Quentin Johnston catches that ball, he actually has a chance to make a house call because there's not a lot behind him after he makes that catch. Whatever. Didn't make the catch. Horrendous drop. I mean, beautiful throw by Justin Herbert, and Quentin Johnston just absolutely drops it. And then the dreaded B word makes its rounds. Is he a bust? Have you ever seen a player score so poorly in terms of success rate on these routes and success rate against man and zone? Have you ever seen a player like that score so poorly and then bounce back?
Well, not really.
Okay, I mean, that was a long ass pause right there.
If we pull up the historical data,
okay.
First of all, let's talk about the drop thing because you know me, James. I have been one to say like drops can be overstated, drops can be overrated. We can overfocus on drops. I've never said drops don't matter. Obviously, drops matter. That's like a stupid thing to say, but they can definitely be an overrated negative note. An negativity bias. I wrote this piece on Backyard Banter years and years ago. It can be an overrated point of the wide receiver discussion. That is true when players offer you things that make the drops worth living with, like a Deontay Johnson. He drops a lot of passes, but it's because he gets open all the time. AJ Brown has had drop issues in the past. I don't think you need me to tell you why you live with AJ Brown's drop issues. There's way more famous examples throughout the course of NFL history. Yeah. The thing is, when you're Quentin Johnston and you're dropping passes, it's really problematic because you're not doing anything that makes those drops worth living with. And I mean, the Chargers do have to live with them right now because he is like their only reason he's playing is because the two guys ahead of him got hurt, Mike Williams and Josh Palmer. I said this on the podcast all offseason that Josh Palmer is going to open the season ahead of Quentin Johnston because Quentin Johnston is not ready to play in the NFL. And he has not looked ready to play in the NFL. Like you said, his success rate versus man coverage just is all of his overall success rates. Again, obviously this is not a full sample. Johnston has time to improve if he figures it out down the stretch. But right now, his success rates in the rookie report compared to the historical databases, I mean, they're nightmarish. The 38.9% success rate versus man would be the second lowest in RP history. The 50.9% success rate versus zone coverage is the second lowest. The 35.3% success rate versus press would be the fifth lowest. If you just look at again, success rate versus man coverage, ironically, the bottom few numbers, the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers right now are like a lot of the all-time bad rookie seasons. It's Justin Hunter in 2014. That was his second season, but still, that's the lowest in RP history. Terrace Marshall in 2021, 39.5% success rate versus man. 2020, Jalen Reagor, 40.9% success rate versus man. Devontae Parker, 42.9% rookie season 2015 success rate versus man coverage. Marquise Lee, 2014, 44.1% success rate versus man coverage. Devontae Adams, now that's a name to remember, 2014, 47% success rate versus man coverage as a rookie. Devin Funchess, 2015 success rate versus man coverage as a rookie, 47.5% success rate. So those are a lot of the like all-time bad rookie seasons, guys that offered you absolutely nothing. Obviously the one that stands out there is Devontae Adams.
Yes.
Of course, he went from like the bottom barrel to the top. Now he owns, like, if you flip to the positive side of the historical database,
right.
He is up there with multiple scores in the top 10. Okay, so he's got one of the worst rookie seasons ever. He became one of the best receivers of this era of football.
It sounds like the most likely outcome is that he completely busts out, which totally. Is it's just so hard for me to fathom that this guy is this bad against press coverage when you are this size. How are you 210 pounds? You know, you're running a sub 4.5 40. I don't understand. I do not understand how you can be this bad, against man coverage, against press coverage. And it really does surprise me to a very large degree. It really does.
Honestly. And look, these things always go deeper than the player, like when players have this level of output, because, well, I mean, I don't know, obviously, if Quentin Johnston is like working his ass off or anything like that. But I mean, obviously, I don't know that. I do not know that, like, the answer to that question, because obviously he's got to work at it and he's got to get better, right? Look, players are failed sometimes too. And I have truly no idea what Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley, by the way, was like, oh yeah, he was great, Quentin Johnston, in the Georgia game. And look, I'm the guy to tell you that it goes beyond the box score. He had like one catch for 3 yards in that Georgia game at college. And the film wasn't any better. The reception results wasn't any better. I have no idea what those guys watched or the scouts that were responsible for Quentin Johnston's school. I have no idea what they were watching to make them think that Quentin Johnston, the player he was in college, could come in and like be an X receiver in the NFL. No idea. I mean, he could beat man coverage in like certain ways, but he was not good against press and he was terrible against zone coverage. And he wasn't good in contested situations. Like,
yeah, I know. Right.
He was only good in like create a touch type ways. It's pretty tough to think like, oh, you took that receiver, ahead of Zay Flowers, ahead of Jordan Addison, ahead of Tank Dell, like all of these guys, ahead of Josh Downs. That's tough, right? Even Kincaid, like, dude, imagine what Dalton Kincaid would be doing in this offense right now. He would be awesome. I just think it was like weirdly a pick for the future. If they thought like, all right, we're going to develop this guy behind Mike Williams. Well, Mike Williams gets hurt, man. And he got hurt. So now you need him. Like, and I think they set Quentin Johnston up to fail. Like, it's tough when it's not too dissimilar to like Kadarius Toney. It's like, well, why don't people look at what he does when they get the ball in his hands? Why don't they just get him the ball? Well, when you have to go out of your way to disrupt the flow of your offense to get the ball in the hands of these players, that's tough. It's a lot on a coordinator. And by the way, sorry, I'm ranting on this now, but Kyle Shanahan had a great quote in response to a reporter who was asking him about like Brock Purdy's, like throwing coach in the offseason. And aren't you worried that this throwing coach is going to disrupt the coaching that you guys give him during the season? And Shanahan's like, we're not coaching these guys during the season. Like, we're trying to get them up to speed to win games. And like, we're trying to install a game plan. We're not like sitting here working on his throwing motion in the season. Like, right. There's no point now where the Chargers are just going to be like, yeah, we're going to work on Quentin Johnston, like getting off press coverage. No, they're not. They're trying to win games so Brandon Staley can keep his job. Like, he's banged at this point, and they set him up to fail.
You would hope that the position coaches do work with them on that, though, right? Like, why do you pay these guys to do what they do, Quarterback, I think, is a little bit different because there's just so much to take in on a week-to-week basis. But wide receiver, running backs, you would hope that their position coaches are working with them on some things. But at the end of the day, they're professionals, and I think they're treated like professionals. It's different than college, right, where you have to have a lot of self-motivation. There's not going to be a lot of hand-holding, man, when you get to the NFL. I think that's been proven time and time again. So if you don't have that work ethic, the franchises aren't going to be dragging your ass to practice, man. Right. It's not like they're going to be covering for you like they do in college, man. Like, just it's just a completely different ball game in terms of responsibility and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see if QJ can actually, take it upon himself, work on his craft a little bit, and certainly get better, because from a physical standpoint, he should have it.